Hello everyone and welcome to Rob's Rogues and the Batman universe, and this is going to be part 2 of my Robin R.I.P. I'm going to call this one Requiem, as it is, these are the Requiem issues for Damian Wayne. All the Bat books jumped on and had a Requiem issue dealing with the events from Batman Incorporated 8, which being the death of Damian Wayne, aka Robin the Boy Wonder. So I had said in my previous Robin video that I was probably going to be doing a 3-part series, and this is obviously part 2. This is the second time I've shot this video, and I hit a half-hour mark, and I was talking through each book, and I only got up to Nightwing. So I thought about doing a 2-part video, but I'm going to reshoot this and scale it back down a little bit. So bear with me. This could be a little long, but I'm going to try and keep it under the half-hour mark the best I can. There's a lot of books here to go through. Some of these books hit it right on the mark. Others really kind of missed the mark. With the covers and everything, it's just supposed to let us, the readers, know, or other people that are coming into the comic book stores after, Damian dies in issue 8 of Batman Incorporated, to be seeing Requiem on all these issues and seeing the Robin Damian R, that all the Bat books are dealing with the death of Damian in their own fashion, sometimes in the middle of their own story, and I've got a little bit at the end of this video for that. One of the first books that came out was Detective Comics. We'll kind of go through them just a little bit here. Detective Comics 18 was the first one that really dealt with the death of Damian, or not really, was the first. So after reading Batman Incorporated 8, the next week, a lot of people were like, oh, there's going to be a Requiem issue for Detective Comics. Well, I wonder what that's going to be like. And I think a lot of us thought that they were going to be full issues devoted to Damian, and that was not the case with most of these issues. Some did, and then some didn't. For the most part, most of the books dealt with a 2 to 3 page, maybe 4 at times, little spread of the character dealing with Damian's death. Detective Comics starts out with Bruce and Alfred at the gravesite, and Bruce is saying, I'm trying to protect the world from monsters, and one of these monsters kills my son. And, Bruce and Alfred kind of have a moment there, which I think kind of plays in to Batman Incorporated 9, but we'll get that in just a little bit. Detective Comics really kind of stays its course through its main story with the Emperor Penguin, and this is kind of put in there to let us, the readers, know that yes, Bruce Wayne, did lose his son, and then they kind of get right back on the beat of their main story. So some of these kind of seem disjointed because Damian has been in and out of some of these other books, or not at all, and then having a character deal with Damian that may have not dealt with Damian. It's not like Damian is in every issue of Detective Comics. He's been in a few. So some of these kind of seem a little out of place, but I think for what it was doing for the readers, just giving us just a little bit more, it was a nice little touch. World's Finest, Huntress and Power Girl was the next issue that had come out, and some people were kind of like, well, why is Huntress and Power Girl even dealing with this? If you've paid attention to the New 52 with Earth 2 starting, that's where Huntress and Power Girl originally came from, and Power Girl was Supergirl, and Huntress was Robin of Earth 2. And in Earth 2, they both lose Superman and Batman in their universe. Huntress and Power Girl do team up with Damian. It's more Huntress teams up with Damian, and this is issue 7 of their run-in together, and it was a 2-issue story, 6 and 7. So Huntress did have a connection with Damian. She obviously knows that they're on this new Earth, that Bruce Wayne is very much alive, but is not necessarily her father of Earth 2, of this Earth, of Earth 1, really. It's not her father that she knew and loved in Earth 2, but it kind of is, and there's just a nice, sweet, touching moment, and this goes about 4 pages, maybe like 3.5, of Huntress being at the gravesite, and then while she's there, she hears some twig snapping, and it's in fact Batman is slowly coming up behind her. He hasn't quite seen her yet. She calls for Power Girl. Power Girl swoops her up and takes her away. She's not quite ready to meet Batman of this earth yet. So another really good book. Batman and Robin is by far the best out of all these. If you pick up one book, this is definitely the one to get, with probably the exception of Batman Incorporated 9. Just such a really good book. There are no words, no dialogue boxes. It's a completely silent issue, save for one panel, which is a note from Damian that Bruce is reading. This was a total gut punch to read. I actually read Batman 18 first, and I suggest you read Batman and Robin first, and then go into 18. It kind of makes Batman feel a little bit differently, having read Batman and Robin first. Such a good issue. This is the one issue that actually made me cry. I did shed a couple tears reading this. It was just, I can only think of 2 times that I've ever really kind of been moved to tears reading a comic, and this being a completely silent one, with no text being written on the page. So much is said in this issue. And the final panel, I'm going to be spoiling a lot of this, so if you haven't read it yet, stop the video, go pick these books up, and then come back to this. So you've been warned. Bruce finds a note from Damian in the Batcave that says, "Father, I know you didn't want me to go out, but I know I can help you fight Leviathan. I know how my mother operates," as I punch the camera there. "She may have given me life, but you taught me how to live. And I love you, and I will be by your side forever and always, your son, Damian." And seeing Bruce's reaction, he just starts tearing apart the wardrobe case of the Robin costumes, starts punching walls, and the final panel is Bruce just holding on to the remains of the Robin costume and clutching them. And Patrick Gleason drew this in such a way that it looks like the Robin costume is holding Bruce. And that moment really choked me up. That letter and then that final panel is such a good issue. Alfred's moments in this are really touching. It's such a good issue. I highly recommend picking this up. If you pick up one book, this is the one. 5 stars all the way around for Batman and Robin. The crowning jewel of the Batman and Robin series up to this point. Of course, next is Batman 18, which is seen through the eyes of Harper Row, which some people, including myself, think she could be the next Robin. It seems a little bit early. It seems a little bit rushed to be doing this. But having read, if you read Batman and Robin 18 first, then go into this, you see Harper's just out on the city fighting crime the best she knows how, and is out there because she's concerned that Batman is really starting to lose it. And we find out she has an understanding of what happens, that obviously Robin isn't out there with Batman, that something must be wrong. She actually gets kind of hit in the face by Batman because Batman is so totally losing control of everything. Harper tells Batman, some low-level street thug is going to get the upper hand of you, and you're not doing this city any service or any justice. You're operating in the daytime now, and I've seen you at night, which means you're not sleeping at all. You're getting careless. You're beating criminals to a bloody pulp, trying to get information out of them that you don't need to get out of them. And that's when Batman tells Harper, you need to give up this crusade. It's too dangerous out here. People lose their lives out here. And he ends up backhanding Harper Row and ends up breaking her nose. And Harper's just kind of stunned by it, and Batman flies away and says, "This ends now. I don't want to see you out here again." She's still concerned about Batman. She ends up getting a meeting with Bruce Wayne and ends up getting into Wayne Tower and says she wants to send Batman a message. And Bruce is kind of, looking at her and kind of has a chance to reflect a little bit, but of course doesn't say who he is. And she has some schematics of Wayne Tower and says, I want to get a message to Batman. Later on, we see Harper and Batman on a rooftop together. The Batman comes down and apologizes for having broke her nose. She said it's all right, and says, you need to go home, take care of yourself, to which he does say that he will do so. And she says, just stay here just for a few minutes. I have a message for you. There's something for you to see. As she jumps off the rooftop, we see the lights in Wayne Tower form an R symbol. And it's definitely a message Batman needs to see. So this issue was a little different. I know it was kind of getting some people up in arms, like, oh, I can't believe they're going to pull Harper Row right in. But I think we may have a little bit of a while before we see another Robin for a while. Batgirl seemed to be the issue that there was a couple of them that, being a Batman family character, they kind of had to give her some reaction to this. It's only a 2-page spread again that we see Batman go to Commissioner Gordon he tells Gordon that Robin is dead. Then we get the phone call from Commissioner Gordon to Barbara Gordon that he is just wanting to talk to his daughter and saying how much he loves her, and that, I just want to let you know that, the reason I'm making this phone call, I just found out that Batman's partner, Robin, has died. He was just a kid. That made me think about you. And Barbara does kind of shed a few little tears, and then she calls Dick Grayson to make sure Dick is okay with the news of Damian's death. And Dick abruptly ends up hanging up on her. And that's pretty much Barbara's reaction. She plays, and I've been in this kind of role of a Barbara Gordon's emotional state, that you don't have any real personal connection with somebody that has died, but a friend of yours or another acquaintance of yours has had somebody very close to them die. So you are trying to be that consoling factor into that, where, Barbara hears some horrible information, then calls her good friend and, probably one-time lover Dick Grayson to make sure he's okay. Barbara, Batgirl, didn't have a whole lot of interaction with Damian in this universe, other than, hey, we're part of the Bat family, and in Death of the Family, Damian is obviously there with all of them, but it's not like this Batgirl is Stephanie Brown that has had real working conditions with Damian. So this one kind of seemed, it was kind of put into the Batgirl issue. She was dealing with her crazy psychopathic brother. But again, I understand why DC was doing this with all their books. Having a whole month to go by before you could read Batman Incorporated 9, this gave a way just to give a little bit of extra detail and information on the death of Damian and how it affected some of these Batman characters. And some it didn't really affect that much. It's them being affected by Batman or Nightwing or somebody else that's working close with them. And of course, Nightwing, I thought was another really good issue. It stayed on with Nightwing's story, having to deal with the aftermath of Death of the Family and the circus being destroyed, and Bruce getting the death of Damian told to him, which, he's actually, I would say he's actually told. It's kind of alluded that, not alluded, but, he was there during the Batman Incorporated. But, of course, if you've been reading the Nightwing comic, you wouldn't have known. Nightwing is working in and around Batman Incorporated. So I know it's kind of, this weird universe that we have going on here, but take it as you will. Dick probably has had the most interaction with Damian aside from Batman. Since Damian became Robin, Dick was Batman while Bruce was stuck in time somewhere. So Dick really did help raise Damian, almost more so than what Bruce really got a chance to. Dick got to see Damian grow up to be the crime fighter that he is, and had helped, bring that killer instinct, helped to try and take that away from Damian. So, Damian has a wonderful moment with Dick in Batman Incorporated, like I mentioned before, of them being, Damian saying, "You were my favorite partner." And that is kind of, replayed out in this Nightwing issue. And there's a moment in the previous issue in 17 where Damian tells Dick, hey, maybe we need to get together for a video game night. There's this particular video game that Damian wanted to play, and Dick says, oh, okay, I'll order it. Well, in this issue, that video game comes in and it just really bothers Dick that, he's not wanting to deal with it this whole issue that Damian is gone. He visits the grave just to kind of do because he thinks he's supposed to. And at the very end, we see Dick going back to the grave of Damian again and just saying that it's not fair, and kind of imagining a conversation that Damian would be having with him, and where Damian is saying, Grayson, now is a little late to be, crying over me and saying all these things. You are the bright side. You are the person that is able to overcome all these obstacles. You need to be that light and brighter side again. To which Dick realizes that it's probably time for him to leave Gotham City. So it was another touching issue. I like this one. Not quite as much as Batman and Robin, but I thought it was played out really good. And this was one I was hoping that they were going to do very well. And Kyle Higgins hit a lot of really good beats in this issue. Up next is, we kind of see him here laying down, Red Hood and the Outlaws. And this one, I would say for the most part, really has no Robin Requiem in it. It's just listed on the front cover there. It's basically dealing with the aftermath of death of the family and Jason having his face fried or electrocuted. The whole issue, Jason is really wrapped up in bandages, and it's Bruce staying by his bedside. And they kind of have a touching moment. I believe it's mentioned once that, to lose Damian and then to have this happen to Jason, when is all these bad things going to stop happening? But it's in one little bubble, and that's all you get. It's basically straight up just a Jason Todd and Bruce Wayne reconciling their issues that they've had. So that's pretty short in that review. Catwoman is faring the exact same way. We'll lift the Catwoman issue up so you can see it a little bit better. It's Batman and Catwoman interacting and just seeing this really brutal Batman. Catwoman has stole some paintings that she knows that Bruce Wayne has, or that knows that Batman has liked, because in this continuity she doesn't know who Bruce Wayne is. And Batman really goes off on her and tells her that she needs to put those paintings back. They're not just for you. They're for other people to love and care for. And it's kind of like he's making a metaphor to Damian that, hey, I've lost my son and all I have left are these pictures, so put them back. It's really kind of weird, but I can get that with people that are grieving. You project your grief onto something else that you love, and now something as trivial as a painting is affecting Batman because he's lost something even greater than a painting. Obviously, he's lost his son. So the Catwoman issue kind of sort of deals with it. It's more of a mental state with Batman, and Catwoman says, hey, we've had our romantic night. I can't help you if you won't let me in. Of course, Batman's being stubborn and won't let her in. So that's the basic gist of that issue. Teen Titans is one that I had been waiting for. Teen Titans 18. Of course, you see a really sinister, smiling Red Robin here. Some people are like, oh, that's really cold. I can't believe Tim Drake would be happy that Damian is dead. It's also kind of pointing towards the thing that Tim is infected with. I don't know if it's out of Death of the Family or if this is part of the new Teen Titans story that they're doing here. But Tim is under some type of mind control in this issue that we don't know if it's Brother Blood, if it's Trigon, or if it's Raven. But the first part of this issue, that for 4 pages, and I think almost 5 pages, is Tim just dealing with the loss of Damian in the Batcave and being at Wayne Manor for the funeral. And Tim is actually down in the Batcave and is imagining a conversation with Damian. And the two have an argument. Granted, it's an argument that Tim is having with himself, but I thought it was really touching. It doesn't really detract a whole lot from the main issue. It's like you get this wonderful 5-page story of Tim dealing with Damian, and then we get back into the Teen Titans main issue. So Tim, in these first 5 pages, isn't really bothered by the mind control that he's under. He's, the Tim Drake that we sort of know and love. But he has the imaginary conversation that says, you shouldn't have been Robin. This is too dangerous for you. And of course, it's out of grief that he's saying this. And he said, that's why I put together the Teen Titans, that the Justice League is out there looking at for the adults, but who's looking at us kids? Who's looking at us youngsters that have to deal and live in this, time that we're in, and who's protecting us? And Tim has this, like I said, conversation with Damian in his head, but it's drawn out that Damian is talking to Tim, and Damian says, go do that. Go protect us. Go protect those of us that are too young to protect ourselves. And then you get Alfred coming down to the Batcave and saying, what's going on, Master Timothy? And he said, I just needed a moment to say goodbye. And Tim and Alfred head up to the Batcave, and you see this lovely little image of Damian slowly dissolving away as the two leave the Batcave. I thought it was really touching that these two have had a long history of arguing with each other, and when it comes down to it, the two did love each other as brothers, but it's brothers that tend to fight, and having that unresolved, we didn't get to say goodbye to each other. We didn't get to resolve the issues that separated us, and Tim was trying to do that the best he could in just a conversation to himself. And I thought it was done, beautifully. And then the last book, of course, is going to be Batman Incorporated number 9, which directly deals with the aftermath of Damian's death. And it just picks up right after the fight. Batman gets to be confronted with the Beast, the clone of Damian that has killed Damian, and says, this is the sword I stabbed him with, this is the sword I killed him with, I will break you, I will end you, which kind of is Bane-esque. Bruce ends up, fighting him, jamming fingers into his eyes, breaking the sword with his bare foot, which I thought was kind of a neat little panel. Dick also wakes up after having been knocked out, and he starts fighting with the Leviathan thug clone Damian, which that's kind of what I was mentioning about Nightwing. It's not like we see Nightwing in his own book referencing Batman Incorporated only in one little blurb. But so you kind of get this quasi, universe that's kind of existing amongst all these Bat family books. This issue also is a flashback or a foreshadow, I guess, going back and forth of events that were happening immediately after Damian's death and then right after the funeral, which I think maybe kind of ties in to Detective Comics issue with Alfred and Bruce at the gravesite. In Batman Incorporated, Bruce really kind of lets really kind of lets Alfred have it, and saying, I told you not to let Damian out of your sight. You allowed him to leave the cave, and Bruce is very, very upset, and basically tells Alfred to go on vacation. When you get back, we will deal with what has happened. So Alfred is forced into a very prompt and very abrupt vacation that you're taking right now. So will Bruce fire Alfred? We do see in this issue that Bruce, Tim, Dick, and Alfred are taking out Damian's coffin and putting it into the ground. There's nobody else really there, and they have a memorial. Bruce says that Damian's death will be avenged, to which Dick says, amen to. So something is gearing up towards Batman Incorporated. There are 3 issues left of Grant Morrison's run on Batman Incorporated. Who knows if Batman Incorporated is going to be around after issue 12? I don't think so. I could be wrong. So that is a quick little recap as we hit the 24-minute mark of all these books. I may not have done the best job trying to get through all of these books, but I just kind of wanted to hit the main beats of the story. that deals with the Requiem of Robin. Some of them do a really good job. I know I kind of talked positive about some of them. Catwoman really didn't need to do much. Red Hood and the Outlaws, I guess, really didn't need to deal with it. Although you're in the universe with everybody, so you need to kind of try and fit those in somewhere. I've often said, should there just be one Batman book? You know, we've got Detective Comics, we've got Batman and Robin, we've got Batman, we've got Batman Incorporated. So all four of these books normally are dealing with their own stories, their own storylines, and then you start interweaving events that happen in one book, now filtering through 3 other Batman books, and then the other Bat titles being Catwoman, Red Hood and the Outlaws, Teen Titans, Batgirl, and Nightwing, now funneling all those in. It can get confusing and can get kind of like, you know, we have the Emperor Penguin story over here in Detective Comics. We have Huntress and Power Girl dealing with Mr. Terrific story. We have Batgirl dealing with Jim Gordon Jr. We have Teen Titans dealing with Trigon. Catwoman was dealing with her own thing. Red Hood and the Outlaws is coming out after Death of the Family, and then the Batman Incorporated title. So it does kind of get all garbled in together sometimes. So sometimes you just kind of have to roll with it, being that there is, you know, a Batman that each of these books kind of have to touch on the death of Damian in kind of their own way. Some are executed really good and others are not. I think they could have done just a straight up single issue for the Robin Requiem for everyone. I think that's what most of us were kind of looking for, is that you could pick up Teen Titans and it would be a whole issue of Tim dealing with the loss of Damian, or kind of replay some of their past events. I don't know exactly how I would have done it, but the issues that I think are kind of the must-haves out of this are definitely Batman and Robin. It is such a superbly done issue. Of course, that was going to be a real prominent issue, as it was the Batman and Robin title, and you've killed half of the main team off of the book. I think, obviously, Batman Incorporated, since that's dealing with the direct storyline. So those are the two that I think obviously did the best job out of it. Nightwing, I thought, did a really good job. Teen Titans, I think, for those 5 panels, seeing Tim's reaction to Damian was done very, very well. And I know I'm a Tim Drake fan, but I think that's done pretty well. And then Batman was done pretty good too. I think it's best read after Batman and Robin 18. And who knows, this could be the first appearance, or the first, you know, seed that is planted for the Harper Row character to be Robin. Some people think it could be the little girl in Batman Incorporated. Who knows? Next, starting this month in April, we are going to get the Batman and Robin title is going to be changing. It's going to be Batman and. So he's going to be working with all the Batman family characters, as each one of them is going to help be going through the 5 stages of grief. So up first for this month is going to be Batman and Red Robin. So as these come out, I'm not going to wait 5 months to do a full overview. I will do them issue by issue, and we'll see how they go through. This video, we're approaching the half-hour mark again. Sorry for the long video, but it was a good chunk of books to go through. Most of them were really good reads. Others were kind of, you know, hit or miss here. But I'm hitting the 29-minute mark, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for watching part 2 of Robin R.I.P. This is the Robin Requiem section. So we'll see you guys on the 3rd part of this series for me. But as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues and the Batman Universe signing off, saying we will see you guys next time.